once again welcome you to our study of the Bible, the Word in a Year. So this evening we're wrapping up going through what is considered by many to be the books of poetry in the Old Testament. So last week we worked our way through the book of Psalms and the book of Proverbs. And this week we'll be examining the books of Ecclesiastes and also the Song of Solomon. Now both books are very unique, to say the least. Both have distinct purposes, and they also teach us something very unique in its own right. So the book of Ecclesiastes was most likely written by Solomon. The beginning of the book, it opens with the line, the words of Qolet, son of David, king of Jerusalem. So Qolet, it means one who gathers people together. And also in this instance, it means for others to hear what is about to be taught. So most likely this is believed to be Solomon, but it also could have been another king later on in the Davidic line. The interesting thing about this book is that the teacher is different from the author. The teacher is a character that is in this book, different from the author. And while we do hear the voice of the teacher for most of the book, it's the author who introduces the teacher and then summarizes and evaluates what the teacher says at the end. The big idea of this book is that we lack true control over our lives. We lack true control over everything that happens to us. And in spite of life's mysteries, we can have hope in God's justice, which fuels a life of honesty and integrity. So the author summarizes the teacher's basic message twice, once at the beginning and then once in the end. And it's this, Havel, Havel, everything is utterly Havel. Now, many English translations, they will use the word meaningless as a translation for the Hebrew word Havel. But really, this term Havel, it's more appropriately translated as vapor or as smoke. And the gist of what the teacher is trying to say is that everything in life is like the gossamer strand of a spider's web. It's here today, but it's gone tomorrow. And the idea of all is Havel is a really depressing statement that the teacher hammers home again and again and again throughout this book. So why choose to use the phrase, and what does it really mean for the reader? Well, the author is attempting to target all the ways that we try to build purpose and meaning apart from God, and then let the teacher deconstruct them. The author believes that people spend most of their time investing energy and emotion into things that really have no significance or meaning in the grand scheme of life. And the teacher, in turn, gives the reader a reality check, so to speak. So if we really read through this book, we find a great significance for our lives even today. You know, how often do we chase after the things? How often do we value things? How often do we invest in things that just have no significant long-term value? All human effort in the world, it still leads to nation rising against nation, calamity in various places. So we read through this book and we kind of feel like, what a depressing read, right? Well, buried in this text is the key to enjoying life according to the teacher. And that is to truly accept this idea of Havel. We acknowledge that everything in life is by and large out of our control. And the secret to truly enjoying life is accepting all this Havel, and that our posture must change from an attempt to control everything to a posture of complete trust in God. It means enjoying my life as I experience it, not as I personally think it should be. And the book ends with this eschatological hope for the future. There's a hope that one day, all of the injustices, all of the misfortunes that befall those that walk upright before God, they will one day be rectified completely. In Ecclesiastes 12, the author states that God will bring every deed into judgment, everything that was hidden, whether it's good or evil. And I think that both of these broad ideas help us go through life. The first is that apart from God, everything is Havel. There's no point to any good thing that we have in life if it keeps us from God or apart from God. The second is that we know that one day all the injustices in the world will be resolved and also be judged. The things that we cannot fathom happen to both people, both good and maybe not so good, they will all be judged and accounted for. So the next book is an altogether different topic, and that's the Song of Solomon. And this book is very unique, like Ecclesiastes, and also has very little literary design. The first line of the book, it declares that it's a song of songs. And this is a Hebrew way of saying this song is the greatest of all. We're also are told that it's a Song of Solomon, but when we read the poems, the voice is often the voice of a woman who's referred to as the beloved. So this term of Solomon, it probably means more in the vein of the wisdom or the tradition of Solomon, the wisdom of Solomon, so to speak. The big idea of this book is that love is a transcendent gift that's meant to show the gift of God's love, which will one day transform his beloved world. The bigger question we probably would ask is, why is this love poetry in the Bible? Why is this kind of tucked in with the rest of the Old Testament? Well, one interpretation is that throughout this book, we see allegories of different characters. Now, for the Hebrews, the woman would be Israel, Yahweh is the man, and the love is a symbol of the covenant of the Torah. For Christians, it shifted a little bit. The characters were swapped. It's about Christ's love for his people and the church. This was the inspiration for Paul's words in Ephesians 5 that a Christian husband's love for his wife, it's a symbol of Christ's love for the church. Additionally, among Israel's ancient neighbors in Egypt and Babylon, we find all sorts of love poetry, ancient love poetry that they've discovered. So what we find is that love poetry, it was a meaningful part of Israel's cultural environment, hence why it was included in the Old Testament canon. But there's also more to this book than just love poetry. There's a symbolism of the garden. There's this garden imagery, and it's a call back to the Garden of Eden and the relationship that was pure and untainted by selfishness between man and woman. And also, I would add, between humanity and God. So at the end of this, we find this hope in this book that there will one day this love that existed one time, it will now exist again. And this love will permeate the world and restore everything to the order in which God intended it for originally to exist. So I hope you have a wonderful week this week, and we'll see you next time.